Welcome back, Triple F fam, in another episode of Two Fools in Fantasy Football. In this episode, we are going to give you our first team, our second team, and our MVP for the regular fantasy football season. I am always Tyler the Uncool Fool, and this is my PIC, and that is
Mr. Marty McFly. Yes, thank you, Tyler. So how we're going to do this, I'm going to give my first team and my second team, then Tyler's going to do his. We'll see where we differ, where we are alike, and then Tyler's going to give you the biggest surprises and disappointments and the MVPs. So I'll start with my first team. We did this as one quarterback, one running back, two receivers, and a tight end. I added defenses and kickers on mine. I don't believe Tyler did defense and kickers on his, but I did that. So these are strictly point-wise and standard PPR leagues is what these are based on. So first team, all NFL for fantasy, Tom Brady, then followed by Austin Eckler. Then my receivers are Devante Adams and Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce at tight end, and my boys, Cowboys, for defense, and Mr. Justin Tucker is the kicker for second team all NFL and fantasy football points. So let's let Tyler give back is going to be Mr. Josh Allen for the Bills. Running back, Mr. Jonathan Taylor for the Colts. Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson for the receivers. Mr. Andrews for tight end this year. He's number one so far. And defenses, we have the Pats at number one. Pats have the number one overall scoring defense in fantasy football. And their kicker, Mr. Nick Folk, is the number one kicker this year.
That was my slow clap for the first and second teams for Marte and the guys he chose. So now I did a little bit different on his. So I'm going to do my second team first. I did two quarterbacks, two running backs, four receivers, and I did two tight ends, which I will go first. And then I'll also give you each surprise and each bust for the category too as well. And the last person I am going to talk about is the MVP of the fantasy football year. And I will give you guys a clue. It is not this man.
Oh, he will always be MVP.
He was not my MVP this year. So I'm just letting you know, it was not Mr. That guy. So Tim Tebow, as they call him. So I'm going to start with the tight ends and work my way up to the quarterbacks. So my second team tight ends this year is this. First one is Mr. George Kittle, and the second is Mr. TJ Hawkinson for the Detroit Lions. The bust this year for the tight end position is none other than Darren Waller, and the biggest surprise this year is Dawson Knox for the tight end position. Biggest surprise by far. So now we are going to go to the second team wide receiver. I do have four. So we're going to talk about the first one for the Pittsburgh Steelers is Deontay Johnson. The next one is rookie wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase. The next one on the list is one of the most reliable guys in all of the NFL in Chris Godwin. And the last but not least, to me, one of the bigger surprises that really wasn't a surprise, Tebow Samuel for the San Francisco 49ers. The biggest bust this year for the wide receiver room is Allen Robinson, Chicago Bears, and also DK Metcalf, wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. The biggest surprise this year in the wide receiver room was Mr. Jalen Waddle, rookie wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, and also Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, my second team, all running back team. Yes, that is a very nice Hunter Renfrow jersey, Marty. I didn't know he was number 34.
Not, but it is Raiders jersey.
It is a very nice Oakland or Los Angeles Raiders jersey because that's where he played back in the day.
That is.
So the second team all running back is going to be none other than Mr. Leonard Fournette, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and also Joe Mixon, running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. The biggest surprise this year in the running back room was Cordell Patterson, running back / wide receiver / tight end / quarterback / special teamers for the Atlanta Falcons. And the biggest bust this year is Saquon Barkley for the running backs. And now we are going to give you the number 2 quarterbacks this year for fantasy football. The first one we're going to talk about is the guy who we predicted, we actually gave you a spoiler saying he was going to outdo his ranking in Matthew Stafford. Do you remember that, Marty? I remember that. You remember that? I do. I believe he was ranked number 12, and we said he was going to be at least a top 6.
Maybe 5.
I remember. I just remember that. It was the very first video. If you want to check, you can go look. So, but Matt Stafford, he is the second team quarterback for the LA Rams. And also on that list is another guy who plays in LA, but he plays for the Chargers, and Justin Herbert. So if you are a resident of the LA County area, you saw some very good quarterbacking all year long. Also, too, the biggest surprise this year is Taylor Heineke, football team quarterback, and the biggest bust this year or disappointment is Mr. Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was the number 1 quarterback. He's somebody you spent a very, very high draft pick on, and this year he has not proceeded to his reputation. He has been playing better as of late, but still, fantasy football-wise, he is not giving you the bang for the buck that you're looking for this year. Okay, so that was my second team. The first team, the guys who absolutely crushed it, the guys who you drafted, you are going to be superior. These are the guys who are leading you into your fantasy postseason. We're going to start with the tight ends. The first team is going to be Travis Kelce, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Mark Andrews, tight end for the Baltimore Ravens. Now we're going to go with the next 4 wide receivers for the first team. The first one we're going to talk about is Mr. Tyreek Hill for the Kansas City Chiefs. The next one is Devante Adams, in my opinion, the best receiver in all of football for the Green Bay Packers. Also, this guy is a number 2, second year in the receiver, number 1 overall in Justin Jefferson, receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, and number 1, first everything, all team, Mr. Cooper Kupp for the Los Angeles Rams. Now going to the running backs, we're going to do the top 2 running backs here. First team, all everything. The first one we're going to talk about is Najee Harris, running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, rookie guy. This guy's gotten more carries, more handoffs, more passes than anybody else too. He's touched the ball more than anybody else in the NFL. So he's had a wonderful season for the Steelers, who would literally have no line at all. The guy who is the first team all running back is going to be none other than Austin Eckler, running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. And first team all quarterbacks is going to be Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills quarterback, and the man who is defining father time, Mr. Tom Brady, who is also the number 1 fantasy quarterback this year for your team. And now, the MVP of the fantasy football season. This is not a surprise. If you've watched this show, you know who it is. He is a boom every single week his team plays. He is a man among boys. He is a Wisconsin Badger. He came out of the draft 2 years ago. He is the tough, the tumble, the man of the hour, the man who has all the power, Jonathan Taylor, as your regular season MVP.
I like it. I like it.
So yeah, that's what's going on. So if you drafted Jonathan Taylor, or if you were really wise and say you were some guy who hosted a YouTube show with Marty and you somehow got him in the 4th week in a trade, and you're really smart about that, and you just kind of figured that eventually he was going to boom the rest of the season. If you were that guy, that's a pretty good job too. Just saying. So, and happened to be in a money league. So. No big deal. No big deal. So that's our first, second team, all fantasy football this year. The MVP, obviously, I mean, I don't think it's really a surprise for Jonathan Taylor. And also, too, if you watched our show, like the very first episode, we talked about a couple different things. We talked about Austin Eckler being too low. We hit that right on the head. We talked about Matthew Stafford being too low. We hit that right on the head. We talked about Jonathan Taylor being too low. We hit that right on the head, too, as well. We talked about Zeke being too high. We talked about Saquon Barkley being too high. So from the very first show to this show, looking for the full 15 weeks that we've had so far, 14 weeks, excuse me, me and Marty got a lot of things correct. We did a lot of great stuff. So this just kind of goes back to tell you that we do our research. We make sure that we understand everything. So we just want to make sure that we give you guys all the knowledge. That's the main thing about this, is that we've done this for I've done it for 10 years myself. I think Marty's more in the 15-year department. I think he's done this a little bit longer than I have, but just with our wealth of experience. Go ahead, Marty.
My first year was Rams Titans Super Bowl.
99? No, that was 2000.
Was it? No, it was not. No, it was 99. Whatever. The year the Rams and Titans were in the Super Bowl, one yard short.
Yeah, I think that was 99 or 2000.
I think it was 99 because I remember they're like, oh, you need to pick up this kicker, Jeff Watkins. I'm like, who's Jeff Watkins? And he was the kicker for the Rams. And he did, all right, well, I guess I'll go with this guy.
Yeah.
So I've been playing since 99. So that's 22 years. I've been doing fantasy football. So.
Yep. So it just, this is just telling you guys that we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of wealth with all this kind of stuff. So please pick our brains, ask us questions, just whatever you guys need, man. Just we're there for you. That's what we're just trying to get across. I mean, we try to have fun in these videos. We try to make you laugh. We don't try to make you cry at all. We just try to give you lots of information. So, but that's about it. And then also too, I don't know if y'all noticed, but Marty always changes his jersey. He's got tons of awesome pro football jerseys, whether they're from yesteryear or from the 80s or 70s or guys from this generation. So he's always got some really cool things on here. If you guys want to take a guess, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it's number 34. He was a running back for I believe at the time, the LA Raiders at the time. He's one of the most famous running backs. If you know who this guy is, he was a two-sport absolute all-world stud. He did everything he touched turned to gold until he got injured. If you know who it is, throw down a comment, throw down the name down there for us. Let us know who you think it is. So just maybe take a guess. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. So you guys want to throw a comment down there and see who Marty is, and so we would love some more participation for the comments on the YouTube channel. So that's what it's all about. So everybody, please like, subscribe, share, add. Tell us what you want to see in the videos. Tell us how we can help you for your playoff push, your playoff run. For now, that's being said, if there's any lineup decisions that you need, if there's any stats or facts, whether it be yardage, touchdowns, whatever you need to help with your push or to help to answer your questions, let us know, man. We would love to answer them. We check all the stuff all the time, and we're here for you guys, and we're here to help you in every way, shape, or form, because we want you to get that belt, that trophy, that money, the pride, whatever you play fantasy football for, including the bragging rights too as well. So just let us know.
That's right, everybody. So good luck this week in first round of the playoffs. And if you're in a friend league where this is the first round and then you're out and then second round, but if you're in standard ESPN leagues, week one of the playoffs is 15 and 16, so you got 2 weeks to get a good score. Oh.
And I think me and Marty haven't talked about this, but I think it'd be really cool if we kept you guys updated on how we did too as well. Just that way you kind of see where we're at and what our thoughts were, and see if we sucked in the playoffs or see if we did really good in the playoffs. So I think that's a cool thing that we should do. We should keep you updated on all of our playoff teams, and we'll let you know if we didn't make the right lineup decisions or if we just sucked. So pretty easy.
I will say that last week I was 10-1 I have 11 teams and I was 10-1 last week. I mean,
that's very impressive. I think this year, I know I did 8 teams or 7 teams. I know I was 7-0, 8-0. I think one time, I think I was like 6-1 another time. So I had a couple really good weeks in there too as well. So, but definitely not as good as that one, because having 11 teams is a lot harder to manage than it is having 7 or 6 or whatever I had. So, But anyways, guys, thank you for checking out the Fools. We're here for you. We're going to drop some more videos. I hope you all liked everything. And if you have any, like I said, if you have any questions, anything, please let us know. Also, you can find us on Facebook at Two Fools in Fantasy Football. So go ahead, add us as a friend there too as well. If you know anybody who is looking for advice, definitely drop our name. So we'd highly appreciate that. So I am Tyler, the Uncool Fool, and I am out. And that is my
Marty McFly, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right, everybody. Take care, gang.